Hey guys, welcome back to Emmalition. I'm Emma, this is Emmalition. I tried to play some games for my channel this morning and my PS5 just keeps corrupting. So I have given up and decided to watch the Elden Ring story trailer analysis by VaatiVidya because I haven't watched it yet. And we recently watched the trailer when it came out and did a lot of chat around that. I watched it as soon as I could and I've had some time to think about it. So I'm interested to see what Vaati thinks about it. So now you've watched me watch the trailer, you can watch me watch Vaati talk about the trailer. Every day we edge closer to dystopia with these reaction videos, don't we? Anyway, I'm excited. The DLC is currently 9 days away from me, so probably 8 days by the time I upload this video, and I can't wait. I just want to do all Elden Ring things on the channel for now. I was going to try and play Life is Strange, but it's not working, so I think it's just going to be full Elden Ring shenanigans until the 21st of June. So anyway, let's watch the video.
Everything in this trailer makes so much sense. Is probably what I'm going to say in about a month when the DLC is out.
Yeah,
when we look
that.
back, this trailer will explain everything. But right now, I've got so many questions, especially about this scene in particular.
Yeah, so already pausing it, sorry. I assumed that was Miquella, but I think 1,000 people in the comments told me it's Marika. So I don't know. I was excited at the time, okay? Sorry.
Here, we're being teased with what is clearly one of the most important events in this universe, and while the truth is right in front of us, it's impossible to make complete sense of it yet. They're taunting us. I hate it. I love it. Let's break it down. So, this trailer comes in 3 parts. There's the beginning, where gold arose and shadow was born. Then we see the war that followed, with Mesmer reducing a city and its citizens to ash. Finally, we see Miquella nearer the current age, and he's been preaching a hidden truth about the beginning to his followers.
Okay.
Miquella
that makes sense.
The kind spoke of the beginning.
Oof.
The seduction.
So in the trailer, I thought this was, I don't know, potentially a vagina, but a lot of people said it could be an eye, which I really hope it is because I don't know, that just makes me feel really upset. It's just a bit gross.
Betrayal.
Wow.
An affair from which gold arose.
Wow. It's so good. It's so
and
good.
So too was shadow born.
Everyone in Elden Ring is from the Midlands.
This is Queen Marika. The bracelet and these armbands.
That's obvious now.
They're an exact match for her jewelry in this piece of artwork.
I'm a fake fan.
But what is happening here? The first shot we see is Marika pulling what looks like hair from what looks like a corpse. The hair seems easy to explain. I think these are runes of the Elden Ring. Compare these threads to the ones that you see in this cinematic, where the Elden Ring was being repaired. This is Marika's hammer, and its description reads, "The hammer partially broke upon shattering the ring, becoming splintered with rune fragments." And obviously, these threads are very much the same as the rune threads.
Whose hair is that made from,
I think
then?
Marika is essentially looting runes from a corpse, maybe somewhat similar to what we do in the actual game.
That's
Please bear in
really
mind
gross.
that from this point forward, a lot of this is speculation. However, even if this speculation is wrong, I think this is still a really good opportunity to talk about and become familiar with concepts that will likely show up in the Land of Shadow one way or another. So yeah, here goes. I don't think these are just any runes, nor do I think this is just any corpse. The thing this mass first reminded me of was the attire of the Godskin enemies. It's really similar in color tone, and the thick folds really remind me of skin and fat. What's more, we can see horizontal stitching at the edges.
Ooh, I didn't notice
brings to
that.
mind the Godskin Stitcher, which is a weapon that references the creation of the Godskin attire, which is peeled and then stitched together from Godskin.
Have you guys ever noticed that before? I've never noticed that. That's disgusting.
And Considering Marika's hand alone is bloody, it's
No
not
way.
bloody further up. Clearly, she's reaching into something visceral. But what is she doing here? Obviously, it's too early to say for sure.
You
but
tell me.
I do want to comment specifically on the shape these threads are making. It's
arc.
being pulled into a downward arc, which is a really potent symbol as it relates to the Elden Ring. So there are 2 downward arcs on the Elden Ring. One is here at the bottom, which is explicitly a rune arc. It's a basin in which the blessings of the Elden Ring pool. But the more relevant arc, I think, is here at the top. This arc creates a symbol that is iconic to Marika. It's seen on her scar seal and in her crucifixion at the end of the game, and now again in the trailer here, and at the end of the trailer as well, with the gold flowing between the 2 shadow trees. Something that the YouTuber Quailag talked about very early on is that Marika's seal seems to be a subversion of the Rune of Death. You would have seen the Rune of Death after defeating Malekith. It's something that was once a part of the Elden Ring, delivering a destined death to all until Marika the Eternal removed it and sealed it away. According to Enya, this rune was plucked from the Golden Order upon the Golden Order's creation.
It's almost like a upside down crucifix, almost. Well, in its subversion, it feels like the God versus the devil sort of thing.
And indeed, Marika's age became defined by its defiance of death in all things. So it is that I wonder if the Rune of Death has anything to do with the subverted symbol of Marika we see here. Understanding the Rune of Death is important also because it has a lot to do with the Godskins. Now, I'm at risk of going too far down a tangent that could be built on a false premise here, but if this is Godskin we see in the trailer, then it really could have huge implications for what's happening in this scene.
I don't know if it
let's
is.
Let's entertain the idea that this is Godskin, just to see where this takes us.
But
the leader of the
I'm in for
Godskin
the ride.
nobles and the Godskin apostles
That's
was
so
the
disgusting.
Glow-Eyed Queen, who, like Marika, was an Imperium, someone chosen by the 2 Fingers as a candidate for godhood. And items describe how she was defeated long ago by Malekith, who was Marika's shadow. So essentially, she was defeated by Marika. However, the exact nature of this clash is really unclear. We don't know if the Glow-Eyed Queen and Marika were equals or rival Empyreans, or how or if control of the Elden Ring was split between them. But we do know that in the end, destined death was sealed, and the true power of the Glow-Eyed Queen's black flame was lost. Marika had won. So one kind of insane piece of speculation is that this body could actually be the Glow-Eyed Queen's, given the Godskin and the rune and the war that Marika won against her in the beginning. But this theory about this being the Glow-Eyed Queen is entirely built upon the premise that this lump is Godskin.
I think it looks more like what I said in my trailer reaction video, which is the Beast Clergyman, obviously related to Malekith. So, but that's purely based on just the visuals and the way I interpret the movement of the clergyman's like appearance. So, but then the clergyman's appearance is just his outfit, isn't it? It's just his clothes, whereas that does actually look like flesh. So maybe I am wrong. In fact, yeah, I think I am. See the cogs working in real time. Yeah, I'm with you, Vaati. I'll shut up.
That premise might be false. Of all the characters we know in Elden Ring, I do think she's the most likely candidate, but to be honest, I actually think it's more likely that this is a character or a thing we've never seen before.
Yeah, that could
a sort of tempting impulse with Elden Ring lore to try to explain the story based on what we know. But the truth is that FromSoft are going to introduce a ton of new characters and concepts and names that we've never even heard of before in the DLC. And those are the things that will shape our new understanding of the game. Thus, keep in mind, it's just as likely this could be some old god we've never heard of that Marika took runes or the Elden Ring from. And speaking of claiming the Elden Ring, the soundtrack you can actually hear in this scene is the Elden Beasts soundtrack. The the Elden Ring became the Elden Beast.
I don't think I noticed that the first time
something that we face
round.
as we attempt to claim the ring. So maybe that's kind of what Marika's doing here as well. The Elden Beast's theme here sounds really distorted, as if it's cutting out. I wonder why that is.
Oh yeah, it's so obvious now.
Miquella the Kind spoke of the beginning.
They're all northern.
The seduction.
Why are they
and
all
the
northern?
betrayal.
Seduction and betrayal is certainly par for the course for Marika, who has a
she
history of
sucks.
such things.
She's a
Renala,
bitch.
in particular, comes to mind. She is a champion who was seduced by Radagon, who is also Marika.
I'm
Their
team
marriage
Renala,
with
I'm sorry.
Renala settled a war that Marika couldn't win, after which Renala was abandoned by Radagon Marika and left
The divorced
broken.
queen.
Marika wins again. So I wonder if this seduction and betrayal that the trailer mentions could have been applied to the Glowmite Queen or some other rivals in the past as well. The next line does call it an affair. The wording makes it sound so scandalous.
Oh yeah.
From which gold
Oh my
arose.
god, is this going to be like divorce drama? Because I'm here for that.
So could Marika have used Radagon
That's
to
tea.
play that seductive trick twice? For that to be true, Radagon would need to have been one with Marika
For a lot longer.
since the beginning. And actually,
Or-
Marika's
Or could Marika not have had another alter ego, shall we call it, that wasn't Radagon, but someone before? Mesmer. Can you imagine? So, oh my god. No, that's silly, isn't it? I have nothing to base that theory on other than the fact she has previously made herself into a man to or created herself into a male figure to cause drama. Maybe she's
torso is a
Mesmer
bit
as
more
well.
masculine here than expected. Better evidence, though, here is the hair. If you look closely, you can see a strong reddish tint
Kind of goes
to
from
Marika's
blonde to
hair,
red.
particularly at the back here. But to be honest, I think it's more likely that the trailer is talking about Marika's seductions and betrayals in a more general sense.
Very possibly.
The Erdtree and the Golden Order are inherently very seductive concepts, after all. It was advertised as an age of endless bounty and endless life, but that was a lie, and the truth is surely more sinister.
I mean,
Clearly.
judging from the wall of body.
So where is this
Yeah, that's what I
place?
was saying.
On the border of two worlds, apparently,
what I was
filled with corpses and viscera. It's almost as
Yeah.
if this mountain of corpses
It's
is
not
making
appealing.
up some sort of gate. From our perspective, you can see a golden sky within and a gloam-coloured sky without, and presumably the reverse would be true if you were
Stunning.
to look in from the other side. At first, I thought this dark world might be the land of shadow, and that light world might be the heavens or something like
Just a thought, sorry to cut you off, Vaati. It looks like she's trying to hold the gate together with the runes. I don't know what that could mean, but it looks like that's the only thing holding it together, potentially. Is that something we're going to be able to break? I don't know.
like that. And that the lands between could be named the lands between because maybe it grew out of the border of these two places. Is that even possible? Alternatively, this could be the land of shadow and the lands between could be the golden world beyond. What do
Between
you guys
what?
think? So here comes the next crazy
what?
theory. What if this towering structure is the Erdtree in its primordial form? It would make sense for the Erdtree to
You
have been
think?
grown on some border between worlds. It appears in both worlds, after all, golden in one and shadow in the other. The biggest piece of evidence for this idea is that the primordial form of the Erdtree is also known as the Crucible, where
Oh, no.
primordial life was blended together.
Not my
We
class
know
of
that
rejects
the
again.
Crucible is what became the Erdtree's
Makes me
vital
sad.
energies. Now, we've never seen the physical form of this Crucible, but we do have a few hints as to what it might look like. The first comes from the Gilded Greatshield, which
Gorgeous.
states
Stunning.
that the red tinge in the gold coat mirrors the primordial matter that became the Erdtree.
That's cool.
There's also a great sword of a Crucible Knight that has a red tint that exemplifies the nature of primordial gold, said to be close in nature to life itself. Lastly, red, mushy root resin shows up at the Erdtree's own roots. And this towering structure...
I was going to say, this stuff here that she was mushing her feet into, like she's trying to make wine, kind of looks like this. And I wonder if that comes from... Is that like goop that comes from all the bodies?
Does
maybe?
Feature a very red blending of life, what with all the viscera here.
Viscera.
So could the crucible literally be a blending of lives
Possibly.
that gave rise to the Erdtree? In the end here, all we really know for sure right now is what the trailer literally tells us. And it's that this affair, this beginning, gave rise to gold and shadow, and that a war would follow sometime after.
What followed was a war unseen.
Oh my god. It's so dramatic. I love it.
One that could never be put to song. A purge without grace or honor. The tyranny of
Who is that?
Mesmer's flame.
Who is that?
This part of the trailer is a
Were they
little bit
holding a
easier.
baby? They holding a baby?
Flame.
This part of the trailer is a little bit easier to explain. Here we see Mesmer's forces marching within this castle that we saw disintegrating in the previous gameplay trailer. It's a bloodbath here, and it looks like Mesmer's forces experienced very little in the way of resistance. Perhaps the residents of this place weren't expecting or prepared for a purge at all.
Doesn't seem like
Mesmer
it, no.
stands over the battlefield, directing snakes of red-black flame below. If you need to
Terrifying.
learn more about who Mesmer is, then I recommend you check out our previous news video, which speculates more deeply on his character. But suffice to say, he is a character that is considered to be on equal footing to the other demigods and children of Marika. That's the official quote. And he's almost certainly a child of Marika.
What if he is
given
Marika?
his
It looks like
dialogue
Robert
in
Pattinson.
the previous trailer.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction?
Oh, why would he say that if he was America though?
Bereft
Yeah, it
of
doesn't make
life?
sense, does it?
In this new trailer,
That's
we
okay.
see him
Never
purging
mind.
this part of the Land of Shadow, at least, in an act of what they're calling tyranny, presumably on behalf of his mother, who wanted no songs sung about this land or war. Earlier, we speculated that Mesmer might have been specifically a child of Marika and Radigan's union, considering his red hair, and
Yeah.
while I still think that's likely to be true, I don't think we speculated on when Mesmer would have likely been born. So let's do that now. As far as we know, Radigan only made his first public appearance in the Liurnian Wars, and only had children with Renala, and then again with Marika after he
Yes.
abandoned Renala.
Yes.
However,
I'm
I'm
with
not
you.
sure it
All
makes
the way.
sense for Mesmer to have been born that late in the timeline.
No, this is
since
early
it seems
days,
likely
isn't
the
it?
purge took place much earlier in the timeline, at a point that followed the beginning. So what if Mesmer
Interesting.
was born outside of wedlock, so to speak? What if Marika Radigan conceived Mesmer on their own
What if... Okay, I don't know.
ages ago? In
don't
this
know.
early age, Marika might not yet have had Godfrey to fight her wars for her, but it seems she did have Mesmer. In this context, it might have been a brilliant political play to use Mesmer to usurp the Land of Shadow in his tyranny, and then essentially lock him away in this veiled land to rule. Maybe this solved quite a few problems all at once, especially considering how blasphemous Mesmer would have been to Marika's rule in the lands between. Though again, this is just speculation. As expected, the Wicker Men march on Mesmer's side, and we'll have to fight one, as seen here in the gameplay trailer.
Fight a giant
a recent
2.0.
tweet states, "The sordid sins of war still walk the realm of shadows, even as their victims search fruitlessly for recompense." The brunt of Mesmer's army consists of extremely well-disciplined masked
I would like one of those
wielding
spears.
spears, led perhaps by these knights in black and gold trim. They look a lot like this knight fought in the gameplay trailer. In the next scene, we see the Lion Dancer smashing aside two of Mesmer's soldiers before it confronts Mesmer himself. In the shot to follow, we see the flame he's conjuring in response to this assault, followed by three large, impaled bodies. As you might already know, the Lion Dancer is actually made up of three bodies, and so the implication here is that these are the three bodies with long cloaks that were puppeteering the Lion Dancer in the previous scene before Mesmer killed and impaled them. Now's a good time to note that many on the receiving end of Mesmer's purge have what look like omen horns. The creature on the stairs has them too, and its robes look a lot like the ones worn by these enemies in the previous trailer, who also have horns. As discussed at length in previous videos, those with omen horns can be linked to the primordial crucible.
I know this all now. I'm getting good.
Make it clear that horns and other such aspects were once considered signifiers of the divine. It seems this was a culture and an idea that Marika wanted to stamp out, since she probably had new ideas about what should be considered heavenly. This is probably why the almost genetic reappearance of omen horns during her era was seen as a bad omen, to her at least. Maybe these horns were an element of the truth, hidden beneath the surface, coming back to haunt her. The only one without horns that we see on the receiving end of Mesmer's flame is seen here, a feminine figure who seems to be holding some sort of undulating blade. Is this a spiral weapon?
Why did I think that she was holding a little baby and maybe the baby had like... See, now I'm showing my ass for physics, because I thought she was holding some kind of baby that had like a cloak flying in the wind, but her cloak is flying that way, so obviously it wasn't a cloak. Stupid like lady.
So many others in Elden Ring, or is it maybe a sort of banner?
It's hard to tell.
Anyway, she's the last in this video's long list of atrocities for now. Next, let's talk about Miquella, who seems intent on bringing the truth to light.
Miquella. What are you and why are you?
And so kindly Miquella would abandon everything. His golden flesh, his blinding strength, even his fate.
So cool.
But we are not deterred.
Will you walk with us? Do we have a choice?
Will you walk with us?
Will we?
One question I'm curious about the answer to in the DLC is, how did Miquella become aware of what happened in the beginning with Marika? My answer for now is that Miquella is quite like Marika in a couple of ways. For one, he's considered to be an Empyrean, with the wisdom, the allure of a god. Maybe he's quite capable of thinking like one. Another similarity is that Miquella literally tried to grow his own Erdtree, watering it with his own blood, since it was a sapling. What if this gave him an insight into how such trees were supposed to grow? And if we're right about this being the crucible, perhaps Miquella realized the sheer amount of blood that would have been required for the Erdtree that already exists. So out of everyone, Miquella could probably figure it out.
That's a really cool theory, actually.
Items actually consider Miquella to be a genius, and he's called a prodigy, so his ability to puzzle out the truths of this universe make good sense. In the face of these truths, he abandoned everything. And these sacrifices clearly have a purpose. We don't understand that purpose just yet, but take these scenes for instance. These markings left behind are in the shape of a great rune, something that Miquella would have had, and surely these are Miquella's own great runes that he's leaving behind, presumably for us. At first I thought that you might be able to
the new
rest
sites
at
of grace,
like
maybe
sites of grace, but in a recent promotional image, it's been revealed that grace
they're on the
still
stairs,
exists in the land
near
of
the
shadow.
stairs.
The previous trailer says that Miquella is awaiting his promised lord. That's likely us, though it's possible his followers each believe that it's them, as they're clearly following this hallowed land that Miquella has left behind as well. And here they are, a veritable band of the hawk, presented with this uplifting surge of music in the trailer. Miquella's faithful compelled to follow him.
The whole gang's
Surely
here.
all these great NPCs aren't going to suffer horrific, terrible deaths, right? Right? We've already seen 4 of these NPCs in the
Vaati,
previous trailer.
you know the
There's
truth.
The knight, this warrior, this tanky guy, and the masked one. Previously, the masked one was actually seen sleeping in what we suspected was a swamp of
He's
Saint
having a
Trina.
nap.
And since then, we've received confirmation from Miyazaki that Saint Trina
Ooh, that's
will
exciting.
indeed make an appearance in the DLC. And sure enough, here they are now in the trailer. Saint Trina, presented in the context of things that Miquella has abandoned.
His golden
So was his
flesh,
fate to become Saint Trina
his blinding
fully?
strength,
I can't remember. There's too much lore.
even his fate.
There's too much. I'm sorry.
Considering Saint Trina is falling in this scene, holding their arm up to the light, at first glance I assumed that this is the fate that Miquella was leaving behind, abandoning his alter ego.
That's
On
what I
second
thought.
thought though, we know that Miquella is abandoning his golden self, so perhaps it's more likely that Saint Trina will be all that's left. But since they're making
Where
an
are they
appearance,
falling to?
I assume that we'll get to the bottom of things. All of this is a lot of speculation, I know. I feel like the closer we get to the truth, the more questions are raised. But hopefully, if nothing else, I think this was an opportunity to refresh our memory of a few things that we should
thank
look
you,
out
Vaati.
for going
I really liked it when he said we'll get to the bottom of things while we were watching Saint Trina falling. And it makes me wonder if there's going to be like, I don't know, some kind of other underground area that is here all the way down at the bottom. This is where Saint Trina has fallen down to, and this will be kind of the new underground place that we can explore, all lit up by these torches with Saint Trina on guiding the way. Because obviously there's going to be multiple layers to the map, because why wouldn't there be? So yeah, that's cool. I didn't have a lot to add to that because I feel like I've just lost my way with all of the lore because there's so much. I've watched a lot of these now, and I've watched some other YouTubers as well, and obviously follow a lot of them on Twitter, including Quaylag, who's one of my favorite like Souls lore expert connoisseur academics out there, and her tweets are fantastic. So definitely give her a follow and subscribe as well for just real-time updates on things we find out. I don't know how I feel about the Godskin stuff. I'm not super convinced, but also I don't think my idea really holds up anymore, because if I Google, yeah, that looks like cloth to me rather than rather than flesh. But then the Beast Clergyman does have those big threads on his cloak too, so I don't know. I don't think my theory holds up. Vaati's is obviously far stronger, but I wasn't totally sold. But then I think what he said about it possibly being a new character or a new enemy or god or whatever makes sense, because you know there's going to be so much that the DLC has to offer outside of what we've seen in the base game. So yeah, I'm sure we'll find out. Yeah, I'm just so excited now. It's next week. How is this real? I feel like it's going to take a while to process everything while we're playing. to be honest. So I'm like shrinking into myself because I was so excited. So yeah, let me know what you guys think as well. I definitely have had time to process the trailer since it came out, and I don't think I've really come to any more conclusions than the ones I'd already come to. But I'm definitely really, really intrigued by where Mesmer has come from, because another child of Radagon and Marika, I don't know if that feels believable or not, because I don't know why that wouldn't have been mentioned before in all the lore and flavor text or by any of the other characters. And also the timing thing that Vaati mentioned, he's too ancient to be around the time of the War of Liurnia and things. So dude, I don't know, but I'm so excited for this. I just can't cannot cope. See you guys next week to play Shadow of the Erdtree, the Elden Ring DLC. In the meantime, take care. I'll see you there.